What's good? What's good, family? What's good, YouTube? They live, we sleep, part three, the Solomon Wildman connection. I go by the name Pushy Push. Down below is my TikTok at pushy.push. I got about 200 videos over there, so definitely check those out. Drop a like over there. Also, subscribe right here to my YouTube, Pushy Push. But let's get into this one right here. So, this video right here is a continuation from two other videos. So I know in the last video, I was talking about how I was going to show the wild man's crest and its rise into power. But I felt like I needed to focus on the origins a little more so that we can understand how they obtained those crests right there. So that's what this video is going to be about. Its origins. So its origins, I have found it to be in religion. So this is going to be a very interesting video right here because it's all in how we look at the Bible. So this picture right here, as you can see, it's a wild man right here. And, it has some important writings on the left and the right, and we're going to define those right there. But this is the wild man right here on a very important coin, and it's owned by a specific person. So we're going to look right here. If you look at the top, it says King Solomon's coin. And on King Solomon's coin, it's showing a wild man. It says the first pinnacle of the sun, El Shadi. It's showing a wild man on Solomon's coin. And this is so interesting right here because there is conversation about the existence of Solomon. Like some people feel he was black, some feel he was white, and then some people say that there is no proof that he actually existed. So, we have to kind of look at those things. But what drew me into this was understanding that on the coin, on Solomon's coin, there is a wild man. And in the previous video, I showed how the wild man has the name devil, has the name demon, has the name serpent. The wild man has many names, but ultimately it is a man animal. It's a half man animal. And I've been showing how they've evolved and changed from less looking like an animal to looking more like a man. So you get right here. This made me ask a bunch of questions. King Solomon's seals. It made me ask, does the wild man know and own these seals of Solomon? Because he's on the coin. And I guess there's a question that I also have is this Solomon, a half man animal, and I'll show you why I say that there's other people out there that believe that there is no visual record of Solomon. So it made me wonder, was this him on this coin, a half man animal? And have we been given the truth from the beginning anyway? So King Solomon's seals, does the wild man have control? Does he have knowledge of these seals that man supposedly has had control over? So right here, we start to get into those answers right there. So it says, in the book, Wild Man, Warrior, and Kings, it says, King Solomon is a biblical figure that is considered a role model along with Abraham and Moses. It says, and Elijah, in the book, Solomon is a king while Elijah is considered a wild man. It says Solomon is a king while Elijah is considered a wild man. This is in the book Wild Man, Warrior, and King. So that's this book right here. Wild Man, Warrior, and King. So you can see the wild man is on the throne. The wild man is on the throne right here. This is how deep this is. So in that book, it's saying that Solomon is considered to be a role model, Abraham, Moses, and it's saying Elijah was a wild man. And it just made me wonder, do the biblical patriarchs have this blood in them? Are they descendants of wild men? You know, if you look down at the bottom right here, it says, while there is no direct, down at the very bottom, it says, while there is no direct historical evidence of Solomon's existence, he is an important figure in the culture and the stories of ancient Israel and the ancient Near East. So there is other people out there that believe that Solomon possibly could not exist or don't exist. It says, while there is no historical evidence of Solomon's existence. And this is why I said, could this be Solomon? Everything is illuministic. So again, they're going to throw things in your face, but they're not going to directly tell you. And it just made me wonder, like if there's no historical record of this person, then what is this being on a coin that is supposedly having all the 44 seals, all the laws and all that right there? So that's what made me wonder, could this be Solomon, a half animal man? Just being open-minded. But wild man, warrior, and king. So this is a wild man. And that's why I said they once looked like animals, and then they gradually, with mingling with the women in the world, begin to take on more of a human figure. Right here is interesting. It says right here, yes, according to some sources, demons helped Solomon build the temple in Jerusalem. Now, my understanding of a demon isn't the way that everybody else take it. This is the wild man that helped, if Solomon is a real person, build Jerusalem, not demons from the underworld. That's why I said the wild man right here, he's called a demon, he's called a devil, but he's really, and those are just nicknames, but this is a half man animal, and this creature right here is the demon that is supposedly building Jerusalem. So now you have to take that into consideration. Like, okay, you have to step away from demons as in spiritual and kind of look at it like this. The wild man built Jerusalem. And in that book, Wild Man, Warrior, and King, it's saying that Abraham, Moses, and Solomon are like icons to them, and Elijah is a wild man. So the wild man is involved with building the temple, and he seems to be bloodlined into the patriarchs. Right here is another good one right here. At the bottom it says, how Egyptian god Bes gave the Christian devil his look. You see what I'm saying? How Egyptian god Bes gave the Christian devil his look. So this is the wild man right here. During the Egyptian time, the wild man existed even in Egypt. So you have to kind of redirect your thoughts when you see a bird man and then right next to them is a regular man. Well, that's just saying that that DNA is in that man. They're not walking around looking like bird people like that. But the Egyptians are animal people, that there obviously are, and this is letting you know how the Christian gets its devil. So this right here, the wild man, which they called the devil, which they called a demon, the serpent, they've called this wild man all these names. And the devil in the Bible, this is the devil in the Bible. How Egyptian god Bes gave the Christian devil his look. This is the demon right here that is helping Solomon build the temple. So this wild man exists all the way in Egypt, and it's very tied in to the Bible, just like I was saying right here. If we can go a little further, here is the Egyptian god Bes right here. So here's the wild man. You see with the Egyptian wings on the back. See? And then you can see him with his phallus out, his pole poking out there. And that let you know that he has the tools to mingle with women. And they've done it enough to where they have started to look like regular people. And this is what makes this so deep. I've shown in the previous video the wild man in Asia. I've shown also the wild man like in Europe. And right here, I'm showing the wild man right here in Africa. So you have the wild man in three races: black, white, and Chinese. But right here, the oldest right now, the wild man is in Egypt. He has the Egyptian wings right there behind him, and it's just like all the other patriarchs that you will see in Egypt, where they have wings behind them and the man is walking with the purse in his hand or the object in his hand. Those are animal people. Those are people that have the DNA in them. They do not walk around with wings, but they have emergence of of animal DNA. And this is where Christianity receives its devil from, where the devil comes from. The devil is a wild man that lived in Egypt, that the Egyptians probably made because they were very smart people. So you see right there on the stone, the Egyptian symbol, the ankh right there. Yeah, it says how the Egyptian god best gave the Christian devil his look. So the devil has always been a wild man, the demon. So when I go back here and it says, yes, according to some sources, demons helped Solomon build the temple, I'm saying the wild man built Jerusalem. That's what I'm saying. The wild man built Jerusalem. And if Solomon is a real person, Solomon gave the wild man the seals. And if Solomon isn't a real person, then from the Egyptian side of things, this is how the wild man is getting the seals in order to control spirits or anything of that nature like that. Right here is another Egyptian example. So you see them with the Egyptian bird wing up there, with the circle. And then there's two wild men on the left and right, and then a regular man. And this is what I mean, that they are telling you that the Egyptians are wild people. That right there might be a hard one to swallow, but that's what they're telling you, that the Egyptians are not regular people. This is the reason why I am so slow to jump on to the bandwagon of all these historians, because most of the stuff is being written by Messianic people. So those people are definitely not writing things in the true form and its true nature. They're giving it to you in this godly manner, and this is not godly. This is DNA, and there's the man in the middle, meaning that eventually they look normal. And this is Egyptian. So I'm saying the wild man goes as far as Egypt. The wild man is probably on the throne in Egypt. And I'm saying that the wild man could be Solomon himself. And the wild man is even into the bloodline of the Bible. Let's go a little further. And this is another way of looking at this wild man being in the bloodline in the Bible. Um, Abraham had made it with his hand wife, or his half woman there, Hagar. Um, this is the part that was written about Ishmael when Abraham mingled with her. It says, and he will be a wild man, and he will be a wild man. This is Genesis 16:12. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. That is telling you right there that the wild man exists in the bloodline that's inside of the Bible. This is Abraham mingling with Hagar, and it's being written that Hagar is going to have a wild man. So that makes me wonder about who Hagar is and the blood that exists in her. Is she a wild man? Is Abraham a wild man? Who is writing the Bible? who is orchestrating the writings inside of the Bible, because we're all being taught that these are regular people. And I'm sitting here showing you that the wild man is in Egypt, that the wild man is like Abraham's son is a wild man. And it's saying that it's going to be against every man. And the wild man, which is called the devil, which is called Satan, has always been against man. And people say, like, well, Satan, his greatest plan is for you to think he don't exist. And that's true, because he's here looking like a regular person. So we have to realize that a Satan is a half man animal that existed, and it has the parts, it mingled with regular people enough to where it took on more of our form than the animal form. So now the Satan and the devil no longer looks beastly, it looks like a man, and now you don't believe that the wild man, the Satan, the original Satan doesn't, you think that it's in the mystical place. And that's why this is important. How Egyptian God best gave the Christian devil his look. This is where Christianity gets its devil from. And Christians aren't realizing that the wild man built Jerusalem, and that the wild man is bloodline into Abraham. So the seals that this wild man have right here, you can see that its power to go way far back. It goes far back enough that it can be king. It can be king. It can be a priest. It can be shaman. It knows all the secrets of man. Something taught them. And if it isn't King Solomon teaching the wild man and giving him its knowledge, then it's the Egyptians. It received it from there, because it seems like their creation comes from there. So this is how we learn it today, and I'm saying, is Solomon right here, is he a wild man? If this is Solomon, the true Solomon, is he a wild man? Is he a half man, wild man? Is he like the Santa Claus in the previous, where that was the last wild man? So we don't know, because there are writings that say he doesn't exist. But if he does, this person gave the wild man the knowledge. And if he doesn't exist, then the wild man received this knowledge from Egypt, literally. And I'm saying, if the wild man is in Egypt, he's black. Just like I can show you an Asian wild man, you call him Yeti, and I can show a white wild man. So everybody got a beastly figure for their kind. Right here, it goes, when Santa was a shaman. Like I said, this blows my mind right here. When Santa was a shaman, I say that because you have this part, when Santa Claus was the last wild man. So you have this man who is a half animal man, but he no longer looks that way. So he's just having the DNA. And they're saying that this is the last wild man. And this wild man was a shaman. Well, how did Santa, the last wild man, become a shaman? Because of Solomon. Solomon is a shaman. Solomon is a sorcerer. Solomon is a magician. Because of Solomon, the wild man became a shaman. The wild man became a shaman. If he exists, this is how the wild man right here, when Santa was a shaman, this is how he becomes a shaman. Because Santa is the last of the wild man. That is so deep right there. That's why I said these connections, they're out of this world. But this coin right here, what I want to look at right now is the writing on the left and the right of the wild man. And you can see this glow that's around his head right here. So let's look at that right there. Somebody was nice enough to make this version of the coin. And if you see it, it says Lux Pharaoh right there. Lux Pharaoh. I hope I'm saying that right. I went and defined those two words right there. So let's look at what they say. It says, what does lux mean in Latin? The word lux means light in Latin. And the other word, it says the word pharaoh has multiple meanings. It says the Latin root for fur means to carry or to bring. The Latin verb for furre means to bear, carry, suffer, or endure. So this is saying light bearer or light bringer or light carrier, light bearer. Lux means light, fur means carry or bearer. Let's look at that again. The Latin word carry or bring, the Latin verb to bear, carry, or suffer. So this says the light bearer. There are other entities called the light bearer. Satan is called the light bearer, but this is what I was telling you. This is a Satan. This is a dragon. This is a serpent. It's a half man person. They don't look beastly anymore. He is the light bearer right here. And why is he is the light bearer? Why is he the light bearer? Because he's been given the knowledge that man has. So look at it like this. Both coins right here say Morning Star. Which one is the wild man on this coin? Which one is the wild man? They're both say Morning Stars. See, the wild man is the one on the furthest right. Morning Star, light bearer. And the wild man is called Lucifer, Satan. You know, these are the names of the wild man, and they're nicknames. There are literally nicknames, and now those names are mysticized. They're big myths right now. But this is to a real entity that is in power today. It walks and looks like a regular person. So the light bearer, they became the morning star because of this. We go back here. They became the morning star because of this. King Solomon's seal. Someone gave them the seal, gave them the knowledge. And if Solomon isn't real, then it goes all the way back to the Egyptian god Bes, where that knowledge was given to the beast there. So between Egypt and Solomon, this knowledge was given to the wild man. And then it's also showing that the wild man is bloodline into Abraham. So now you have the bloodline and this wild man being able to claim rights. These are the beginnings of how the wild man get to own the crests, how it gets to own the seals. This is the reason why I said I had to go back and show a little bit of the origin. And you can see that this is the light bearer. So man has the knowledge also on the left. He's the morning star because he has the same knowledge that, say, Solomon has. But someone gave the wild man the knowledge, and now the wild man is the morning star also. So this isn't Satan as something that is in a burning place. This is Satan. It's a wild man. And this person right here, supposedly, or these people are kind, supposedly helped Solomon build Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is built by the wild man, built by the very Satan that you are trying to avoid. It's so wild. So that lets you know that there's a ruling elite that is on the side of this animal beast enough to where it's hid itself inside of the scriptures as patriarchs. This is no different than what we're just looking at. You call this Satan, you call this Lucifer. This is nothing but a wild man to me that was sitting with the seal that worked with Solomon. So they're not walking around looking like that on the left side. They look like a man. It's a person who has this DNA in them. And you see the person is holding the star right there. You go back right here. See that star? He's holding it. Light bearer. This is the wild man. And the wild man isn't from hell. It's a being probably created somewhere in Egypt from what I'm seeing. But nevertheless, it's been given the power that man has. So it's now a light bearer, a morning star, just like we're morning stars when we once knew the knowledge. Now they have the knowledge and they are actively in power right now today. This morning star on the right is in power. The morning star on the left is no longer in power. So the Bible has been written by the morning star on the left, I mean on the right side. This morning star right here on the right, that is what you're seeing in the book. So Hagar is bloodline to this animal man, and Abraham slept with her, which Ishmael became a wild man. And then in the book, Wild Man, Warrior, and King, it's saying Elijah was a wild man. And then you get down to Solomon, and the very demon, which is a wild man, built Jerusalem. So they're half human people. They look more like people. This whole Satan thing right here is myth. You have to look at it serious. This is what Satan is. It's not about racism, because I just showed you the wild man black in Egypt. They call him Bess. And then, I'm just saying that the wild man has mingled enough to where it looks like this. So this is the dragon you should be looking for today. This is the wild man that talks and looks like everyone. And the only way that you know that it's different is because of how it talks. It says, I'm going to kill 1 billion people. That's the wild man right there. In power on the throne, part of the economic world form. They're on that level now, looking normal. The Satan that you're looking for that has all the seals running the world today. This right here, and I'm only showing this right here to show you that we have warred with the wild man. The wild man isn't a friend in history. It is someone that has fought us and took our throne, has been over us. Then we had to turn around and fight them and fight for our freedom back from them. So you have your Gilgamesh right here. You see right there on the side of him, because they're both wild men. They're both wild men. Gilgamesh is a wild man. That on there is right there is a wild man. And we've been always fighting these wild men. These people aren't on your side. And that's why I said the wild man is coming out of Egypt. That means that you have to kind of look at Egypt in a different manner, that it might not be the great place that it's written, like all this beautiful awe that you get out of Egypt. It seems that the beast that the world is afraid of comes out of Egypt. And this is the wild man. You don't have to look like it no more. They look normal. That's what you're looking at right here. But you can see that Gilgamesh guy. What is he doing? That's what he's doing. They're taking over man, and man has been fighting them throughout history as far as Egypt. We have been fighting them. And these people right here hold the seals. So it looked like Solomon gave them the seals, or either they were created from Egypt and that's how they got the seals. And now through that way, they're in power. They have the magical understanding, the mathematical understanding. They were taught as far as Egypt or either Solomon, somewhere in that pattern, they were taught, and they're just as smart as we are. And to be honest with you, they have all their memory, they have all their records. They've been destroying us, making sure that we don't have any records. This is the reason why it seems like we have amnesia. Wild man, warrior, and king. This is how the wild man became a king. It's because the wild man goes as far back as Egypt. And then it shows the wild man being taught by Solomon, if he's a real person. And it gets crazier because now it shows that the wild man built Jerusalem, that city right there. And the wild man is the Satan. So everybody right now is fighting over a city that supposedly Satan or the wild man built. People don't know that right there. People think demons, and then they Solomon to work with demons. Well, now you know that Solomon wasn't working with demons from under the ground. It was working with the wild man. And through that right there, the wild man learned architecture. It learned mathematics. It learned science. It learned magic. This is how you can find Santa, the shaman, because he's the last wild man. This is how they got in power. So now in this fourth video, I can go and show all the crests. How did they get the crests? Because I had to show that they're in the church, that they're in the bloodline family, that Abraham slept with a wild woman and have wild children. And if Ishmael is a wild man, then all the seeds that come from Ishmael are wild people. That's how deep this is right here. So I know that was a handful right there, because I don't know if anybody is making that comparison of Solomon and the wild man, so those things definitely all connect together. That's why I said these things, they go far back. They live, we sleep, because they don't want you to know that they exist. So the sleeping part is we don't believe it. And I'm saying that they're no longer looking like this man right here. They look normal, but they're in position of power. You got to listen to how they talk. They're the ones who says it's okay to have fluoride in your water. But with that right there, I want to thank y'all definitely again, for sticking with me through all these videos right here. There's going to be a part 4 to this. So I think now I can get into the crests. I feel a lot more comfortable because I was able to give like more detailed background of the wild man, because you just don't assume kingship and crests from nothing, so part 4 is coming up. I thank you for watching it, and definitely drop a like and subscribe, and until the next time, family.